Hello, viewers. I'm Yashwendra Singh, Executive Editor of ETCIO and the moderator of this topical session on embracing digital transformation, reimagining running the business on cloud. Businesses today need to explore new modernization strategies that enable them to stay competitive, improve agility, while also containing the cost. One such strategy is adoption of cloud. Across industries and around the world, cloud is upending the way modern companies conduct business. Forward looking organizations see the cloud as an opportunity, especially when it comes to ERP. However, it is important to recognize that the transition requires commitment and the mindset to adapt to change. In this topical discussion today, we will explore how organizations are looking at delivering digital business capabilities by building strength on cloud platforms and ensuring smooth operations. This session is divided into two parts. The first part will have a short presentation from two experts from Microsoft, Mr. Shalin Verma, Senior Technical Specialist, Microsoft, and Mr. Vidhu Shekhar, Senior Partner Technical Architect, Microsoft. The presentation will be followed by a power-packed panel discussion comprising top technology leaders. So without any more delay, I would like to invite Mr. Shalin Verma, Senior Technology Specialist, Microsoft, to deliver his address. Over to you, Shalin.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and pleasure being part of this esteemed panel and looking forward to the follow-up conversation. What between me and Vidhu would go through, and probably just a precursor of our discussion. From our perspective, when we talk about ERP and modernizing, driving that journey towards cloud, how do we vision that entire journey and why actually we should do that? And that's what I would like to take up and then pass the baton to Vidhu to complete this thought process of what we as Microsoft deliver in this particular space. Quickly to get started, and this is something that we all would have observed. ERP is one of the core functions, core application technology piece in any business environment, whether it is manufacturing or financial services or distribution, trading, pharma, etc., education, etc., everywhere. Now, it obviously comes along with a lot of processes and automating those processes. But over a period of time, while this journey was underway, we have actually interfaced with a lot of surround things that came along on the way. And then end of the day, what has happened is that either we limit our usage or keep the ERP usage to one restricted function and have a lot of manual Excel functions surrounding that or another point solution surrounding that. Another thing that we observed is that ERP migration or upgradation also becomes a project, because of which many customers leave the ERP at the version that they lived with. And then end of the day, when the product support gets ended, you start scrambling to what needs to be done. So that entire process and making it real near to what we expect is what has been the thought process running with, I'm very sure, with every industry leader as we would have traversed the journey. Everyone would have faced these challenges, right? Business process data, cost of moving from one version to the other. You are not able to bring in new processes quickly onto the platform. Many manual processes surrounding that, and hence increasing the entire risk of unaccounted data. And obviously, end of the day, when ERP goes away or end of life comes in, you don't get the support even. These are all something that we have seen living with ERP for a lot, and that's what has pushed the industry to think on these lines. And we all call that as agility. And you will see that rules, compliances, regulations are changing as we progress further. So you have compliances related to privacy coming in, you have compliances related to GST and local and statutory laws coming in, and you need to adopt to those. You want to keep your platform updated real always. That's another ask that we have seen. And we've also heard from the industry that many a times customers are now thinking of changing the entire way the way they sell their products. Now we are, with COVID pushing us, organizations are thinking of anything as a service. So tire as a service, you have water as a service. So a lot of business models are changing. Digital interventions will be all the more enhanced. And we've observed that most of the pillars are sort of basing it on three broad areas. One, I need to be more agile and be able to bring in new processes into the system quickly, faster. I need to have something that is scalable for my current and future needs. And third, it has to be data driven, real, near real time, everything available for me. I don't want to get into a project of ERP upgrade every 5 years or 3 years. These are the three broad pillars on which, when we talk about ERPs moving forward, is what it talks about. And that's where cloud comes in and creates that entire platform together, wherein we, instead of running business, meeting business needs, we start focusing on outcomes that an ERP can deliver to us, whether it is related to growth, whether it is related to risks or costs for that matter, whether it is about bringing in competitive edge by adopting new processes and new innovations quickly and getting going live with those, adding to the customer satisfaction index. So primarily from executing or running business to making it an outcome oriented is what is the journey that everyone is looking towards. And cloud is one of the frameworks that will actually enable these. I would pause here and I will request Vidhu to take the journey ahead in explaining how as Microsoft we are trying to enable this for our customers.
Thank you, Shalin. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Vidhu.
Thank you. So let me quickly share my screen. So thank you once again, Shalin, and thanks everyone for joining and uh, giving us this opportunity. And let's have a discussion in next 45 minutes or so around the technologies and the cloud and the business processes which needs digital transformation and how Microsoft can help in accelerating the digital transformation with the help of the business application which we call as a Microsoft Dynamics 365. So just when we were waiting for the call to start, one of the esteemed panelists asked that whether its discussion is more towards CRM or maybe only towards ERP or other business application as well. So this Dynamics 365 is our umbrella brand for all the business application which Microsoft has an offering. And it what we did is we combined the CRM and ERP into Microsoft Dynamics 365. And what we did is now converting the Microsoft Dynamics 365, and it's not no more a CRM or ERP or a customer engagement application or a ERP only, because what we saw that in our on-prem versions, we these two products were quite different and technology wise as well, the UI wise, the licensing wise, and we found that there were some kind of heartburn happening among customers because of one upgrade, one version getting upgraded and other product not getting upgraded, and they were not very seamlessly integrated with each other. So what we did is we converted that into Microsoft Dynamics 365, and which you see here. If you can see this now, it kind of takes care of the entire business application gamut of what any organization can have. Actually, this slide which I'm showing, it is still not covering the whole gamut of the product which we are offering, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit in the next 2 3 slides. But yes, as far as the complete business processes, whether it's supply chain or the customer service or the project for an ITS organization or services organization, or for marketing needs, or the sales, of course, for the sales force automation and field services. So depending on the requirement, customers can pick and choose. There is always a, but still it's not that we provide only the cloud products. We also provide on-premise, but yes, cloud is in fashion. It's no more a fashion, actually. I would say it's a necessity now. And the word cloud used to have different kind of connotation if we talked about it around 12 to 18 months back. But even in last 6 to 9 months, I would say it has taken a new avatar, and it is being support. It is being asked by most of the CIO, the CFOs we have talked to. People are preferring it, and it has proved itself. I would say cloud as a, I would not talk about a specific technology or specific company, but cloud in totality, not only in India or in the region or only in Asia, around the world. It has proved itself, and people believe in this, and now they are looking at the positive side of it, that how it can help. If I talk about Dynamics 365 to be specific, one representation I was just showing before that, but if which talks about the central part, which I was talking earlier, combining the customer facing, customer relationship management plus ERP. But apart from that, how it works in totality is that, in case of this, now we have a lot of other peripheral things which is helping the business applications accelerate the digital transformation. It is not limited itself to CRM and ERP even. It is more towards like we have something called low code, no code applications, wherein Power Apps and Power Automate is there, which can through Power Apps people can build the apps in no time. People of the profile of account manager, accountant, the sales manager, they are building apps today on the Power Apps, because it doesn't require any programming skills as such. Or coding skills, if I can say. Power Automate is something which is to make the life of the business owners very easy, because it keeps in control, it keeps everybody informed through the workflows, through the triggers, and it helps all these applications which I can see at the center of the slide work in a more efficient manner, because it makes all these applications, these are all individual apps, commerce, human resources, finance, projects, but and all of them have very good workflow and trigger mechanism. But when the one application has to talk to other, if you have to need a cross application workflows, there comes Power Automate into picture. And all of this what I'm talking today, uh, how these applications are in unison, working in unison. The magic is being done by something called Common Data Service. Common Data Service is an initiative you must have heard about, Open Data Initiative between Microsoft, Adobe, and SAP, wherein there are so many companies worldwide who are using so many applications from these companies, and still today they have found that they are still in silos, because one application not talking to each other in different, in a very easy manner. So that for that itself, when they started a Open Data Initiative, and then Common Data Service came into picture, wherein now I can connect the Dynamics 365 commerce or field service or my ERP application even with SAP. I can build my Power BI apps on this, because I have my everything down. Data is there in my Dataverse, or common. The new name is Dataverse, but the name which is a self-explanatory is something called Common Data Service. So this is something which really helps into in the unifying the. I would say it's a unifying agent for all the business application which we're talking about. On the right hand side, I would say, if you see now, business applications are no more only a transaction processing system. Gone are the days when users will keep on entering data and not expect anything out of it. Now the users want that, okay, I have put so much of data, what I get out in return? Can the system help me? Can the system become more intelligent, and then kind of remind me few things, can analyze few things which I cannot do that for the large amount of set of data. So there comes intelligence part, the Cortana intelligence part, which is inherent to all the business applications which you see here. And I'm going to share a slide for that as well. Power BI again, the Dynamics 365 application, whichever application you choose here, whether it's Business Central or Finance and Operation or Project Operation, or for that matter CRM, which is we call it Dynamics 365 Sales. Power BI, embedded Power BI, we call it, is part of the product most of the time, wherein the user doesn't need to, kind of, as a user, I don't need to kind of leave the product and go and talk about, those features wherein the system itself, and there's no kind of leakage of data because of the analysis I can do in the product itself. I can see the very good analysis of the product. So like this, let me go ahead further, and this is another representation of the same thing, because the whole thing is on Azure and the Power Platform. But the new thing only in this slide is I would say, is the integration with the Bing, LinkedIn, and the Microsoft Graph. Now, what is Microsoft Graph? Microsoft Graph is something is helps us in getting mining a lot of data, and the few products which have come out with like a fraud protection or something, it helps the kind of knowing the customer behavior, the user behavior, the general user behavior, and helps in understanding the the things in real time. Otherwise, you may have seen most of the things within the previous slide as well. And what we talked about now, we don't talk about like that. We are not here to talk about specific things here, but yes, to make an organization successful, of course, we need to engage with customers, empower your own people, transform the products, and optimize our operation, and how the complete ecosystem of the products, not limited to ERP and CRM, and how we can help the business grow by few other things like insights, because data is there with everyone today. There's a lot of data, gigabytes is proving to be very small in that case. Now, so now but insights, there are few insights. Still, there are a lot of room for improvements to generating insights, and hence I would say to mine on these data and then come out with the things like market insights, the sales insights, wherein it understands the complete the sales pipeline, the sales understanding, and the life cycle of right from prospecting to the how you convert into a customer. How is your relationship with your customers during the life cycle? In case there are service organizations, what kind of call insights you can generate out of that. Of course, the things like customer insights, which talks about the entire journey of the organization with the combining all the touch points with your customers, and then it generates insight that what are the chances of somebody continuing with you or not in case you are in a subscription, or that for that matter, what is the usage of that, something called product insights, which is how your products is being used. Using the telemetry of that, people can come out with the product insights. And of course, I talked about the fraud protection, which comes into the retail part. So in general, I would say we are with the customer on the digital transformation journey, rather than being on the one application like ERP or CRM or anything else. And it is all on Azure, and hence we security itself becomes a part of integral part of it. So it is the business application completely secure. And this is my last which I want to talk. As I was saying earlier, the intelligence is something which we are trying to put into the system more and more. And it is about all applications, not only about one. And hence, it is now the users who will be expecting few things from the system to suggest them, rather than just putting data and just forget it. And whenever they need report, systems should help them with the AI and BI, I would say, both of them. So in brief, I had to share this, Shaleen, and yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vidhu. The objective primarily is that moving forward, when we think about cloud, while this is something that we have offered, we're not saying everything is Microsoft that you should do. But when you are thinking on your cloud journey moving forward, I will go back to again those three elements: insights, agility, and real and current always is what will define what cloud platform would be. Thank you so much, Yashwanth.
Great. Thank you so much, Charlene and Vidhu, for that insightful presentation. We now have the Power Pack panel coming up. So please join me in welcoming our panelists. Mr. Ravi Teltia, CFO, NRB Bearings. Mr. Tarun Pandey, EVP IT and Head Data, Aditya Birla Capital. Mr. Jay Sharma, EVP and Head IT, Info Edge. Mr. Balakrishna Rao, Director IT and Digital, Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Mr. Vishal Kanodia, CFO, Cordlife India. Mr. Mahesh Chambardi, COO, Excel Soft Technologies. And we also have the two gentlemen from Microsoft, whom we have already seen and heard, Mr. Shaleen Verma and Mr. Vidhu Shekhar. So welcome, panelists. I'll set the ball rolling with Mr. Ravi Teltia. So the ERP, as we've just seen in the presentation, is transitioning towards the cloud. What do you feel are the key factors driving this transformation to cloud?
So basically, as Salin and Vidu covered there, so from an industry perspective, we noticed that there are typically three, four things which are happening and which is quite useful for the cloud. The first thing is the speed, because cloud brings the speed in our operation, and especially if we see the uptime of workload, which was at around 90-95% a few years back, which has now reached to 99% plus. So that is really helping in terms of cloud adoption. The second thing is it is more or less hassle free. The way it has improved over the years, it is making things more hassle free, more real time. And last but not the least is the ERP service provider, especially SAP and Oracle. They are basically moving on cloud first strategy, and that is really adding value add for the customer, value add for companies like ours, any industrial company in terms of adoption of cloud. So these broadly three things I would say is really helping the adoption of cloud. More and more in the coming days, as the things will move towards cloud, we are expecting that the small challenges which we have today that will also be taken care of.
Sure. Great inputs there, Mr. Ravi. And I'll come to Mr. Jay Sharma now. Sir, like Mr. Ravi said, it helps in agility, brings speed to an enterprise. Then there are the general perception that, moving on to the cloud helps in cutting costs. Besides, it helps in anywhere, anytime access to your applications. Your thoughts here, sir, coming from a financial, services background, how critical it would be for your enterprise if you're looking at moving ERP to the cloud, and why? What are the drivers here? Mr. Sharma, would you like to take up the question? Would you like to share your insights here?
Absolutely, absolutely. As such, like most of the things, Ravi has already critical part. Ravi has already touched upon, but still, I would like to expand it further. And I say like digital transformation is a process. It is not a monolithic stuff or not a one-time project. I mean, somewhere like we need to see that transformation has to happen from a business process standpoint, business model standpoint, business domain standpoint, and also within the organization, the cultural standpoint. So, if you'll traditionally, if you'll go and ask the IT professionals and specifically the senior management, they normally talk about the ROI of any project. Earlier, the ROI was typically focused around the financial benefit. But nowadays, like it is not only financial benefit. When we say like digital transformation, it comes along with financial, non-financial, both the benefits and what's the value we are delivering to our stakeholders. So, I mean, certainly, like cloud brings a lot of benefit from an agility standpoint, speed standpoint, scalability standpoint, a reliability standpoint, and a base level of security is already inbuilt. Again, base level of security, when I say like because like lot many other security aspects like has to be taken care by the end user, but at least like your basic level of security also goes along or comes de facto. The collaboration and engagement is quite easy. But at the same time, if you start seeing from an organization standpoint, there are variety of other parameters also involved, which basically pushes us to see like what is the flexibility to adopt the changing business model. What is my future development path? Uh, how easy is the support? I mean, all these things, and the way like Microsoft team has already showcased, like now there is a variety of other tools which get integrated, get plugged in into a single system, which opens up the product width or you call it like the broadness of the product comes where like any department, be it you are using it for CRM, HR purposes, sales, marketing, operations, all of you can able to come on the single platform and take the advantage of this. At
Sure.
the same time, from an IT standpoint, probably like IT professional doesn't need to much bother about like the backend related, version controlling and worry about the migrations, new changes, and stuff like that. So all these factors, I would say, like these are the driving factors for these transformations.
Sure. Sure. Great, sir. Great inputs there. Very comprehensive answer. Thank you so much. We'll go across to Mr. Balakrishna Rao now, sir. Bala, sir, do you agree? Do you echo the sentiments of Mr. Jay?
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. But I have got few other kind of criteria or factors which actually control this. Let me share my own experiences and what I've learned over a period of time. Right. So the whole world is actually moving digital. All of us know, and therefore digital business models are actually evolving, right? So we know what is freemium model, what is subscription now, and then coming to marketplaces, so on and so forth. These are the new digital business models. So the market is also evolving and then driving cloud adoption anyway, right? So now that's one of the big reasons. You take any name today, all of them have got a subscription model which is actually running on the cloud, and the investments are going away from capital to kind of operating models, right? That's number one. And large organizations, progressive organizations are aware of this shift, and then they are actually deploying cloud workloads in a very phased manner, or as a big bang approach also. So that's number one. Number two, as the earlier panelists said, there's absolutely no need for building certain kind of capabilities internally and a skill building internally, right? So there are certain things we know in the services industry what is left shift, right? So the users are capable of doing what earlier engineers were able to do, right? So that's how the technology adoption also is happening. So same way, when there is advancement in the technology, etc., for that matter ERP space, there are certain items which are made business as usual, like your platform service is available. You don't need to really keep HANA specialists internally if you are running on SAP on HANA, right? So this is the second factor which actually drives traffic into the cloud, because you don't need to build capabilities which are mundane and things like that. These things are taken care, and you can actually focus on your business. That's the second factor. Third is no brainer. It's very flexible, it's very relevant, it gives you that kind of an agility, so on and so forth. So you want to experiment on something, it's quickly available. As the earlier panelists said, no headaches of maintenance routines and then migrations and things like that. So that is the third big factor actually, which actually invites people or attracts people into the cloud. We have been also as an organization adopting this cloud strategy, and we have started our journey almost 10 years ago, and as much as 80% of our workloads are already on cloud, right? Whether it is user productivity applications or enterprise resource ERP applications, most of the workloads are on the cloud.
Sure.
So now what I want to conclude by saying is that cloud is not just a business opportunity. And in the last 1 year, all of us have seen it has also kind of become a survival option for most organizations, right? So
Sure.
most people have had to move into online due to COVID and things like that, unbelievable circumstances. So cloud has really helped many organizations in terms of surviving through the tough times. So that's how I look at this cloud adoption.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great. Great, sir. Thank you so much. Vidhu, would you like to add to what the technology leader just said? Your thoughts here?
Yeah, for sure. As I was saying, the cloud has itself transformed its in last 6 to 9 months itself, leave alone about 2 to 3 years back. So I will give you an example. When we were talking to any the prospective CFOs and CEOs, when we about 2 years back, not even more than that, 2 years back, and when we talked about cloud, it was not giving that kind of confidence. But now it is coming from the business itself that we want the first thing is okay, we want to tell you that we want the cloud way of business. And see, we always hear during discussions that it is not the government's business to be in business. So similarly, it's not the business of a financial services company or a bearing company or a education company to have a very vast IT team and to manage so many technologies, so many infrastructure, and it becomes a limiting factor for sometimes for them towards expansion plans and business business expansion. So in those cases, cloud is really very helpful because it mitigates the risk, as all everybody has said about it. And now it's the kind of way of living, I would say, cloud in the personal and the professional world both, I would say.
Great.
Nobody is surprised. Nobody is, there's nothing like new for that matter, I would say. That's what I
Absolutely.
think.
Sure, Vidhu. Okay, moving on. I'll come to Mr. Mahesh now. Mahesh sir, in a cloud versus on-prem comparison, what impact will operational cost have in the overall total cost of ownership? Because there is very little upfront cost when you talk about cloud, right? That takes, the time it takes to realize the return on investment on your cloud ERP solution is accelerated. I mean, that takes care of the capex. But how do you view OpEx with respect to TCO?
Right. So with it's not just that the capex is now converted into opex. There are multiple benefits, as many people mentioned. Speed is one. You can think of the solution. You can deploy quickly. The second is the provisioning of scale. On-prem, you always have to plan for your peak load plus contingency. You'll have to plan for 3 years worth of growth and plus contingency and provision everything for that. On the other hand, on the cloud, you can take as much as you grow and you pay as you go. So you don't have to provision for the peak load plus contingency, and that in itself saves a significant amount of cost. The other important thing that others touched upon is focus on core competency. You can focus on core competency and eliminate certain skills that are not directly related to your core competency, so that you have more management time available to focus on your business imperatives and less on the housekeeping related kind of work which are necessary to run the business. People talked about security. Two other things are, as you adopt cloud, compared to on-prem, you tend to use standardized processes rather than reinventing the wheel in your own customized way. When you're on-prem, you tend to customize a lot. When your mindset is that of cloud, you're trying to leverage on the best that is already available rather than building anything new, because there is continuously newer things that are becoming available. It's about putting our intelligence on leveraging what is there rather than building something to building our own mousetrap that works in a certain way that may give some perceived advantage, but actually locks us down from adopting best of business practices and so on. So this standardization and ability to adopt the latest technology, seamlessly upgrading from slightly older ways of doing things to newer ways of doing things. As somebody else said, plugging in newer tools that can provide the greater cost benefits, and bringing all of the data together so that the different departments and different perspectives can be combined together for analytics and better insights. So there is a lot more than just capex getting converted to opex in moving to the cloud, and those are the drivers in making this transformation happen.
Sure, sir. Thanks for those valuable insights. Let me come to Mr. Vishal Kanodia now. Vishal, I also believe that the best part of OPEX is that if your operational expenditure is too high, I mean, you can quickly cut back on spending. You can also switch to a different product more easily if something's not working, because since you haven't invested much in the first place. Just wanted to know your thoughts here, with respect to TCO, operational expenditure.
I think yes, that's true that the now most of through these cloud technologies we are converting our capex into opex. Okay, and but see the if you will measure the benefits, okay,
between the cloud technology and the on-prem technologies, only from the cost perspective, we have to also see the cost of data recovery and the backups. Okay, I think Mr. Mahesh has covered most of these things from the costing perspective. But if you will see the cost of the data recovery or the cost of the backup that we have to do for on-prem, okay, and because now in this world, we all know that the data recovery is so important that we have to do it in maybe next 4 hours or 3 hours, because the time to recover is very less, because most of the business are 24/7 and online. So if you will see from that perspective, even though my suppose let's say OPEX is higher, okay, and my CAPEX that what we have in cloud on-prem is lesser, but uh, the overall cost with overall cost that what we have to incur is quite lesser in cloud. And so that's why for me, if you'll ask me, for overall structure, we prefer to do this data recovery and this backup thing over the cloud, which really helps to manage the cost of the organization. Apart from that, the for the OPEX thing, yes, I have also seen many times that the scalability that what we have in the cloud helps many times to even downgrade the cost that what we have to do in on-prem thing. Okay, because in on-prem you have bought the asset, and after that you don't have any option, right? That maybe you can, due to scalability, you can increase it or you can decrease it as per your requirement. But that scalability that we are getting on the cloud, that as per your business requirement, you can change your requirements to them. So I think that's the best part that you can manage your OPEX and you can manage your financials too, depending upon the revenue that what you are getting. So I think for me, for most of the leaders will agree that we are getting benefited out of these cloud technologies on the costing part.
Great. Thank you so much for those wonderful inputs. Tarun sir, can you hear me? Mr. Tarun Pandey?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great, sir. So, sir, just wanted to know your perspective on this. What impact will operational costs have in the overall TCO in a cloud environment?
Depends on organization to organization. I agree and I disagree with what people have said. One, it's all IT guys talking. Go and talk to a finance guy on what is an OPEX impact and a CAPEX impact. Okay, they think very differently. Secondly, all the benefits of the cloud on one side, the moment it starts impacting your revenue and your profitability, the finance guys will come and tell you, cut down. And when you cut down, you have no option. You cannot shift to any other application, as people said that it is easy to shift, because of business processes, integration, everything will go for a toss. Okay, let's understand the benefits of the cloud and understand the disadvantages of the cloud. If you have to shift from cloud, there is no interoperability between the various providers. If you shift from a cloud, all your integration, all your network changes will have to be done. Can it be done overnight? No, it can't be done overnight. Okay, unless until your whole network architecture is designed to cater to that. Okay, you will have integrations, your infosec policies will come into play. You'll have integrations between various systems. We're talking about applications on the cloud, but trust me, no organization will be 100% on the cloud. It's going to be a hybrid at most for quite some period of time. Okay, we are going on cloud. We have adopted cloud, but have anybody gone fully? Financial services, there is the risk guys, the regulators, everybody says, and the governance also puts in some breaks. But will it be 100% on the public cloud? I don't think so. That's my personal view. Hybrid is going to be there for quite a period of time. And when you're talking about hybrid, you're talking about applications residing on your own premises. That will need integration. So whether OPEX is a good cost, it is a good cost to a certain extent, but there have been cases where organizations have become too big on the cloud and the costing has become too much that they've shifted everything back onto on-prem. That's a reality which a lot of people are not aware of. So the cost of the operations of a cloud will make sense to an organization differently. Depending on where the organization is poised at, what is the spend that is happening and what is its impact on the revenue and profitability, the decisions will keep on changing. Is it purely an IT's decision? No, it's no more an IT's decision. And if you're talking about really taking advantages of the cloud, you'll have to look at your complete architecture. Applications architecture has to change from monolithic applications to microservices based architecture. You'll have to get into the whole API way of working. You have to go into the whole software defined network where you can control the network at one single place, and at a click of a button, you can make changes.
Sure, sir.
So unless until you adapt things in totality, just talking of on the cloud and the benefit that will give you is a myth. In my personal view, that's a myth. Unless your whole IT landscape has to change now. Last 1 year has taught all of us what we were talking about. All of us were trying to talk about cloud for last 10 years, and businesses were not taking it up. Last 1 year, when nobody could go to office, people were forced to move on to the cloud.
Sure.
Okay, did everybody move smoothly? No. People had issues, but they were overcome.
Right. Sure.
But the real benefit will come when you look at a complete architecture in detail. Your whole design has to undergo a change. And yes, this will take some time, but then the real benefits of scalability on the click of a button, of integration, of shifting services from one application to another, or from one provider to another, of integrations, okay, of cost savings will happen.
Sure, sir.
Cloud, trust me, for me, is not a cheap option. I have never found it to be a cheaper option when you do a complete TCO.
Great. Great inputs there, sir. Shalin, would you like to respond to Mr. Tarun Pandey? You know, he's shared some really different perspective.
No, I don't think he shared a different perspective. He is very right, and that's what sometime back we heard. There is a transformation underneath. It is a process on which we are. Everyone is have their own defined path. They would have their own journey, and in that journey, and their prioritization, a financial services company may look at it at a different way, and a manufacturing company may look at it at a different way. But that journey will progress as we carry on. But what is important, that's what we usually bring in, is from the entire ecosystem. End of the day, it has to be a cohesive homogeneity that we need to look at when we're getting into, right? So things like bringing all of them together to make that particular persona, whether it is a account clerk or a CFO or a sales manager to a sales executive, more productive, more efficient in what he does. So when we talk about a sales executive to be more efficient and a sales manager to be more efficient, we are talking about them being able to do their mail interaction, chat interactions, their sales pipeline, their collection visibility, and certain other stuff together, right? It cannot be, and that's what we usually have seen, email and this thing is a part, and ERP or CRM is a different part. That's what will change as we progress, and cloud will be one of those drivers. CFOs, why they need to open an ERP to look for data, right? Why can't they just ask in Teams? Let bot go and pick the data from ERP and present it to the CFO, right? So those type of cohesions, as we progress further, will slowly keep on coming in.
Great. Sure, Shalin. Moving on, let me come back to Mr. Ravi now. Ravi sir, do you feel upgrades will remain tedious even in cloud models? Because we've seen, software upgrades take a lot of time. Do you think cloud could change all that if you leverage cloud?
If we talk about today, the answer is no, because clouds are not so much flexible. They are not allowing in terms of customization as we are expecting from cloud. But the best part of cloud is it is more homogeneous. So that gives us a situation where we can use this application more seamlessly. Of course, the customization and upgrades will have a challenge. And as Salim mentioned that it is a journey which is being started. So we are hopeful that going forward also this changes which are required as per customer needs and the business requirements will come up from cloud solutions as well.
Sure, sure. Mr. Bala, your thoughts here. Do you agree with Mr. Ravi when he says, upgrades could still remain tedious because clouds don't lend that kind of flexibility?
Yeah, I don't think so. If you are okay to kind of standardize your business processes and then use the cloud as a services model, lot of these upgrades and migrations are not to be done internally, and there are runbooks available. There are test scripts available, and the life is relatively simpler these days. And I don't think this will remain tedious going forward, but still the apprehensions are around the custom objects every organizations have created, right? So people are not picking up this option simply because they would have customized the ERP and the CRMs and things like that, and then they are that fear is there whether the custom objects would work or not, right? So when you go through the upgrades and so on, so that's the concern. But otherwise, I don't think in the recent times, I have seen migrations are being done like a cookie cutter. There would be step one, step two, step three, etc., and nicely supported with the documents and so on and so forth. So a lot of things have been scripted as well, and it just becomes automatic for you. So these things are possible today, and you can do that in a quick time. I don't think OEMs support it very well. So I think upgrades will be easier going forward.
Okay, great.
And just to kind of answer the previous one with one liner, because I completely agree with what Tarun said. It can really be counterproductive as well. The cloud operations, if they are not handled well, right? So in our organization, we have created a consortium of technology, business, and finance teams together to operate the cloud dynamics, right? So otherwise, it's not a technology decision alone.
Right.
Business used to kind of remain backstage when these operations were concerned earlier, right? So it used to run from an internal data center. They were never, and it was a capital investment. They never used to bother. But now these are the taps open, and you will bleed if it is not operated well. So if it is not managed well, cloud can be really counterproductive in terms of OpEx.
Absolutely, definitely, sir. Point well taken. Mr. Jay, sir, your thoughts here. Cloud vis-a-vis upgrades.
So, I mean, straight answer for this question is certainly it would be easy. It would be easy due to cloud provides elasticity, but at the same time, like you need to be open in terms of like your binding. So bindings, when I say like okay, any moment if you want to move from one place to another, one location to another, trust me, you need to have a big pocket. Otherwise, like going in could be still not that much cost pinching, but coming out really pinch well, and you feel the pain. And certainly, like what Tarun has put earlier, I mean, I try to say it in a different way. Like I say it like, okay, if you know the workload and you are aware about like there are certain peaks, there are certain valleys in terms of traffic, in terms of scalability, then I always prefer like you try to build your own cloud, which you call it hybrid or multi-cloud, whatever way you want to term it, because that would be still much cheaper and much better option. But yeah, certainly you need to have skills to maintain those infrastructures.
Sure.
Otherwise, like the way we had adopted cloud is based on the use cases. I had built my own hybrid cloud, which is running from not only my co-location center, but at the same time I'm taking advantage of certain public cloud providers as well. But is all the components running out of like every cloud provider? Certainly not. It depending on the use cases. So I term this as in like, okay, the future here for the cloud is hybrid multi-cloud, and
Okay.
don't expect like these cloud providers will provide any kind of like any kind of dedicated connectivity between them. Everything is going to pinch your pocket.
Okay, sure. Great. Vidhu, do you agree with the panelists? Because the house seems to be divided. As Mr. Ravi said, cloud doesn't, provide that flexibility, while Mr. Bala and Jay said, there is flexibility and upgrades would be easier as compared to on-prem. Your thoughts here, Vidhu?
Yeah, thank you. So we are still into the transformation phase, and as everybody has said, the hybrid cloud is going to stay here, and nobody you take any organization whether it's very ahead of the curve in the technology, still they will not be 100% cloud, as one of the panelists were mentioning. And it's true, because it is up to the the horses for the courses. You don't need to go for cloud just for the sake of it, because it's cloud, and because it for different perspective, different reasons, it can bring different benefits. And we need to always do the cost benefit analysis, because even for the great thing which you were saying, capex versus opex, you will be surprised to know that one of the CFOs came to us and said, hey, because of the opex nature, I'm not able to take the depreciation thing, benefits for that, and can you do something for that? So there are different perspectives, and that's how we live in the society as well. But as far the upgrade question is concerned, from technology company perspective, what I can say, and it is taking some time to reach up to the customers, and the customers are, it is taking to some time for them to realize the benefit. But we are saying now today that there's no upgrade now. It's only updates. Now today, if you see, the world is full of customers wherein they have monolithic SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, Infor, wherein they understand that they need to upgrade to next version, whether it's on-prem or cloud, but they are not able to do because of some reasons for the customization and flexibility which we discussed earlier. So for that matter, what every company in cloud today they are doing is that continuous kind of update. And the one property of cloud is to be on the latest version. It's not about you are on cloud and you are working on something which is was released 6 months or 1 year back, and hence you need to upgrade. So it's only monthly updates that are coming. And as one of the esteemed panelists also mentioned, there are a lot of tools being released by every company to automate those processes. But as far as upgrades are concerned, you won't hear this term after 12 to 18 months. It's only updates now, and it is becoming, I would say, as easy as a streaming services like Amazon Prime or Netflix to consume the business applications.
Okay. So only updates, no more upgrades. Great. Moving on, I'll come back to Mr. Mahesh. Mahesh, sir, what role do you think analytics and mobility have in the modern ERP era? Because I feel, there's a massive amount of data being generated every day from web channels, IoT, company servers, media, etc. And, ERP software solutions gather a lot of enterprise data comprising HR, finance, CRM, and other essential business functions. Do you think analytics has a role to play here?
Absolutely. It's not just about ERP alone. Historically, applications have generated lots of data, but ununderstood, unutilized, regardless of what kind of application it was. So the importance of analytics being understood, there being tools and services being available, especially on the cloud, to be able to utilize this. To analyze the data, to map it to various processes and visualize insights from that data. The tools have evolved significantly. Some of them are standardized, some of them you can customize it to your own needs, and therefore you continuously improve your insights by doing more and more analysis. You try to figure out what additional data could be captured, and then what value does it add. And then especially in the world of ERP, CRM, etc., when things are in an integrated fashion, there are at the junction of these various typical departmental concerns lies some hidden data that can be of great value for us to improve the overall business. When it comes to mobility, it again, it's fairly obvious, and it's across the board on all applications, that at least some parts had to be on mobile regardless of the application, including ERP, any notifications, anything that requires to-do list, any actions to be taken, any workflows where you have a task to be done. From a notification perspective, dashboards perspective, intimating various happenings perspective, reports perspective, mobility becomes extremely important. Whereas deep analysis, where you have to analyze a spreadsheet and so on, I think still desktop seems to be the preferred mode, even if it is available on the mobile. So those are the desktop still has its own niche where it serves, it performs better compared to mobile. But in most other cases where you're just glancing at the information or getting an insight pushed into you via dashboard, mobility plays a huge role.
Sure, sure, sir. Mr. Vishal.
Yeah, so I just want to add here, along with Mr. Mahesh, that the even this mobility thing, okay, this again means from the PL perspective, I've talked about this always comes with the cost. So I agree with him that because all the companies who is offering this mobility along with the cloud is coming with the separate cost. Though I think Vidhu was just explaining it to us about Power BI. I think that's a very good tool for this mobility. Okay, so I think we have to also see the cost versus profitability thing and the impact on the revenue. So though I think in this world it is very much required for all of the business leaders to all the data on mobile, okay, on hand, so on a real time basis. So it's all depend on the organizational needs that how they want to manage their PL also, and how they want to manage their data availability also.
Sure, sure. Vidhu, what's your take on this?
So I agree what Vishal was saying, and everybody said that the BI part and the analytics part. Of course, the cloud now we have to, the next phase will be that how much is it on mobile. I agree with that completely, because most of the consumers and it is growing with time that they want to consume at mobile. But coming back to your question on the analytics part, now as I said when I was talking, no more the BRPs and it is going to excite the customers and the business decision makers just because it's a transaction processing system. Now people are asking, okay, I can understand I will do these functions, 10 functions, 20 functions, the laundry list, but tell me, will it help me in going back to home early? Can I do analyze my business, and or you will ask again to take help of so many other things and then analyze it. And but that's what it is come, if you see the change in the business applications, that more and more you will see analytics part, and more than that, a step ahead, the artificial intelligence part is coming up to add to add the user friendliness and the making them aware about giving back to the user. I would say user have been putting a lot of data into the system, but what do I get as a user back from the system? This is about BI and the analytics and the AI part as well. Yes.
Sure, sure.
So definitely it's
Great.
very important, and only it is going to increase with time.
Great. Sure, Vidhu. So, gentlemen, we are fast running out of time. So, one final question before we wrap up the session. I'll request all of you to be very brief in your answers. We'll start with Mr. Ravi. Ravi, sir, is application consolidation in your roadmap? How do you see things changing in the application landscape, changing over the next 3 years in your organization?
I mean, consolidation is in air. It's not only about application, even in businesses and business processes, consolidation is happening. So yes, application will also go for a change. If I put some examples around it, earlier the express management and travel management were two different tools which were used by company to different people, and the departments were taking care of. Now we have end-to-end complete expense and travel management softwares and systems are available, which are completely cloud-based. Employee, whenever they travel, they just click the invoice is there, they upload it there, they boss approved in the midnight also. So those things are coming up. Similarly, on the logistics side, when we see the transport management system and warehouse management system, wherein we as our own organization are also working on that, how can we seamlessly from demand to delivery. That's the focus is there. It should be on same platform, same application instead of looking at one data from ERP, other from Excel, etc. So it is coming up. So the consolidation is in focus area, and wherever today certain consolidation are happening. But one thing which is important to be focused from my side is that end to end still the especially on operation side we are using different applications and we are looking for those that how the things will more improve and innovation will come in this picture wherein we'll start from start of the thinking of the business to the delivery and the final collection of the customer side. So this end to end is still in a pockets, but yes, within pockets the consolidations are happening. That's what we see in our business.
Sure. Great. Tarun sir, your thoughts here, sir? With application consolidation, I feel you can streamline your resources, combining multiple applications into a cohesive IT environment. At the same time, you eliminate the complexity of managing so many applications. Do you see that happening, sir? Consolidation of apps in your enterprise, in your company?
I said I would probably look at it differently. Application consolidation is never on the roadmap. It's always ongoing because your business is dynamic. Your things keep on changing. You start off with new processes. You start off with new applications. The business demands keeps on changing. Your customer behavior keeps on changing. Earlier, the customer used to come to the bank. Now the customer doesn't come to the bank. He has everything available on his endpoint and as ATMs and on the website. So. It is an ongoing process, no matter where. I don't think so. It is only applicable to my organization. I think it will be applicable to everyone. And I would not call it an application consolidation. I would say probably relooking at the whole architecture because suddenly in last 1 year, it has taught us to think differently, not to think only on pure monolithic applications or looking at things which will take 18 to 24 months to implement. So I think on the cards for everyone should be looking at re-architecting your whole landscape of IT because you just can't consolidate the applications. You'll have to relook at the network, how it is going to be because work from home is going to be a reality for some point of time. So it's infosec, your network, your application, and your infrastructure all should be relooked at and redesigned. That's my
Sure. Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Jay, sir, your comments.
I would say certainly application consolidation in terms of version, bringing everything onto a stable standard version is on the roadmap. But as far as deployment and working for that component wise, I rather like our strategy is to keep as much distributed possible. Because again, the way I think, to an extent, I would certainly agree with Tarun that it's a journey. I mean, every 6 months, so many features coming up, so many upgrades, so many new. You need to keep certain as per the customer demand. You need to keep upgrading your application. So it's a journey which will be where I would say deployment would be distributed, but yes, version standardization and stable or consolidated version need to be done.
Sure, sure. Shaleen, final comments from you before we wrap up the session.
If you don't mind, I just want to add Yusvendra here on this consolidation part.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so actually, because I can just connect that what we are doing now. Okay, that suppose let's say previously there was a time that we have always considered the ERP as a separate platform, but now that we can see that CRM and ERP is not a different. Okay, so basically in the session with Vidhu has also explained that how in the Microsoft Dynamics 365 they have joined. So I think yes, there is a consolidation going on, and I think the time is coming that then we'll have a single platform for everything, whether it's a travel management, whether it's a salary management, whether it's an employee management. So all of these things, I think yes, this software, this kind of thing that which Microsoft or any other platform is coming with, that only shows the platform of the consolidation.
Sure, sure, Vishal. Thank you so much for the inputs. Shaleen, final comments from your end, please.
Sure. So, Ishwan, I think exciting conversation with everyone and good points that has come up. As we think through and how do we look at this entire stuff is application, rather look at the entire platform overall. If you are getting onto the cloud, which cloud that can scale, and then what all can get plugged into that, whether it is business process, productivity, no code layers, etc., whatever. Because just imagine there were around 500 odd million applications that got created in last 40 odd years. In next 5 years, we'll create another 500 million applications, right? These applications are not going to be developed by people or developers or companies and organizations. A lot of business users will be doing it. How do you bring those without disturbing your core platform? Because that application that a business user will create will also sit in the same ecosystem. So you have to look at a holistic outline or a canvas that you will give to your organization and then embed everything within that canvas. That's the thought process that we see organizations now taking forward. Data has to be one, data has to be as unified as possible. Everyone should be able to access their relevant secured data in a secured manner and then do what will make them more productive and effective. That's how organizations will start looking at the entire IT or technology or application or platform, whatever you may call it, the landscape like that moving forward.
Sure, Shaleen, thank you so much. That's all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. To sum up today's discussion, going forward, companies will need to be comfortable with a certain amount of overhaul when it comes to some business processes and optimization. Moving their ERP to the cloud would be one such overhaul they would have to consider. The investment in the migration will help them reap long lasting rewards that will leave businesses poised to capitalize on the vast opportunities of the digital era. With this, we come to the end of this wonderful session. I would like to thank all our panelists for their expert and valuable inputs and our viewers for sparing time and watching this discussion. Thank you all once again. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.